I'm a bad person, Sean.
You're not a bad person. You're a busy person.
Okay, fine.
I don't think we can fault you.
All right. Well, sorry, everyone.
Carter didn't see Batman.
I didn't see Batman. I'm sorry.
And it's not because he didn't want to. He even
I
bought
did.
a ticket.
I did
You poor
bought a
guy. You
ticket.
wasted money on a ticket you didn't get to go to. Because you got stuck in a car for 3 hours.
Sorry, everyone.
So Batman will
So
be
we're-
bumped till next week, hopefully.
So what that means
I guess
is
Plan B will be the Prestige will be bumped up.
we'll figure it out.
If you have time to watch that.
Well, but no, so
That's on demand.
Right. The Prestige and Inception, I can watch those whenever. Like, they are available in the world.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Captain America, for those of you who followed our Marvel lead up to the Avengers, Captain America is now available on Netflix streaming. So if you still haven't watched it, it's up there now. You can go watch it.
It's excellent. And Thor, I've noticed in my, home screen on Netflix that they're pushing Thor for some reason.
Oh, okay. They
Anyway.
maybe they got a lineup of Marvel movies all of a sudden. Thanks, Disney.
Maybe. Anyway, so I did not watch that because I couldn't. I'm gonna try very, very hard to watch it for next week. So that means next week we are hopefully going to do The Dark Knight Rises, and then the week after that is The Prestige. The week after that is Inception. So this week we're just gonna talk about some other things.
We watch other things.
Yeah, right. There are other things. Like Ron and his random questions. Would you like to talk about one of them, Sean?
Ron's random question is
No, well, tell us.
we have problems, but we'll get there.
Well, yeah, I know. Just
Here is the question.
let's put it up.
Unedited. If you were the lone survivor of an apocalypse and had to make your base in a fast food restaurant, which would it be? I will note that my first response was, he doesn't state what kind of apocalypse this is. And I think that that is probably an important part of this decision-making process. And then your first response...
For that is, yeah, Sean. That's a really good point. I mean, I think we're normally talking about like a zombie apocalypse, right?
That's what popped into my head.
Right, like, oh, zombies. Oh,
Zombies.
It could be something else, though.
It could be natural, some kind of natural disaster, world flooding, asteroid, a deep impact situation.
Asteroid. Very fun word to say. I mean, like, apocalypse, what if it's the rapture? I mean, like, it's the rapture. What fast food or place are you going to go to? I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A.
I was just going to say that. High five.
High five, Sean. I mean, oh, gosh. I don't know. So I think that we should take Ron's question and interpret it as if it's the zombie apocalypse. Because I think that's probably makes the most sense, right? That's what he means, I think. And so Ron,
he does say if you're the lone survivor. What, in the whole world? This is a weird question, Ron.
Ron, you should please elaborate. So if we're thinking,
this is probably his scenario for our role-playing game that we haven't gotten to do.
That's never gonna happen. Hey, Ron. When's that role-playing game? I will admit that I am one of the biggest culprits in making it not happen because I'm never available. I'm sorry, guys. You guys should just do it without me. So if it's a zombie apocalypse, so we're talking zombies, right? Like the world is being impacted by zombies. They're everywhere. Oh, what are you gonna do about it? Where would you go? Here's my first thing, Ron. I would not go to a fast food restaurant. That is not a good place to go.
Unless, and I think I saw someone respond to this, so I'm stealing their idea. Unless that fast food restaurant is inside a Walmart.
What do you mean?
Well,
Can you elaborate?
there's tons of McDonald's and Subways inside Walmart stores.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
Walmart, I mean, that's got like an outdoor section.
Sure.
Do they sell guns? I feel like in an apocalypse that might be important.
Probably. Well, let's say you can't do that, right? Like,
He's talking about a standalone store.
well, I don't have the tweet or anything. Do you feel like that was his intention?
I have no. I'm sure he had no intentions. This was one of those. This was one of those random brain neuron firings, and he was like, "Oh, this is a good idea."
Oh man, I love Ron. Okay, fine. Well, then
By the way, he asked this question right before he said, "I miss Shawn and Carter have a podcast."
I miss Shawn and Carter podcast too. I also miss the random questions. So I'm just gonna like go off on this like random rant, and then we'll pull it back in, and then we'll see what we can do from here. So let's go.
Maybe his idea was, "What's your favorite fast food?" It's like, what do you want to eat for the last week of your existence?
So here's the thing. Fast food restaurants get food like every day.
Right.
So here's the whole idea. Like we talk about supply chains a lot.
I love that we're going here.
Right? So like this is important. So most, if not all, fast food restaurants, they get their food daily and expend it daily.
Right.
Like,
Rotating stock.
they don't have like a big old this is not Game of Thrones, right? This is not like we've got, a whole, underneath the icy water, like all of these cows and what, and like they get the food they need in the morning, and then they cook it based on, like these crazy recipes quickly during the day, and then they're done. And at the end of the day, they have nothing left. So if it was a zombie apocalypse, like, there is no delivery the next day because that guy is a zombie. If I'm in the McDonald's, one, I'm in a very vulnerable position because McDonald's...
Half the place is probably windows.
Well, yes, yes, you're right. So Shawn mentioned this before, like lots of windows. Two, McDonald's consciously places their stores
high traffic areas.
Lots of people will be. So any fast food place is going to be in a place where lots of people would normally be. So you're picking a place where they're like when the zombies come back from the dead, they're probably going to be there because that's where they died or that's where they're going to go to, but that's not good, right? I mean, so and finally, you're in a fast food place that's not getting any more deliveries, and who's gonna make all the stuff?
I've never been trained as a fry cook.
And the stuff that they make, it's a pretty specific...
Full of nutrition, too.
Well, yeah, but, like, the stuff they make, it's pretty specific how they make it. So, like, if you were me, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take over a McDonald's because the world is ending, and I want to have a Big Mac. And I you know what? You know what? You all can go to hell, and you zombies can just, I hate you all. I'm gonna have a Big Mac. You know what the worst thing ever would be? I am taking over this McDonald's, and I don't even know how to make a Big Mac. I'm there are no directions here, and I'm trying to fry up the whatever, and I make some misshapen thing that kind of looks like a Big Mac, and I don't know how to make the secret sauce.
The secret sauce isn't labeled. You don't know where it is.
I don't even know how to make it, and then the zombies break through the windows, and I'm like, this was a really bad choice. You know what? I'm gonna blame Ron because that was. I'm done now.
I should have gone to a mall.
Right? You go to a mall because a mall is where you're safe. There's lots of things you can do in a mall. The fast food place, you can't. You know what? There might be a fast food place in the mall.
Okay, well then that's where we're going.
Let's do it.
We make a stronghold out of it.
Do you have a local mall? Do you have malls in
Yeah,
Lancaster?
we have one.
One?
Yep.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Indoor? Like you go inside and there?
Yep.
We
It's
have
got four major department stores, so it's got 4 wings out
What-
from the center.
anchors. I call them anchors, I think some people do.
Anchors?
Anchors, yeah, they anchor the store.
Okay.
What are the 4 big stores?
It's Sears, JCPenney, Kohl's, and shoot, something else.
It seems like back in the day.
Boscov's. It is Boscov's.
So our answer to Ron is that fast food restaurants will get you killed.
That's a bad idea.
Would there be? So now I'm thinking. Would there be a fast food place that you go to that would be safe? I can't think of one.
In our zombie apocalypse scenario.
Well, yes, and he has to elaborate. What does he like? If it's the rapture, it's like, well, yeah, I'll go to this fast food place and there's no one else in the world, and I'll be fine.
If it's the rapture, everything's going to be over in like a year anyway. So
I think it's 7 years,
7. Okay,
and then well,
that's enough time to make some mistakes.
you know who else has made some mistakes? Apple. You don't hear that from me very frequently.
This is like opposite day on the podcast.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. So, I have had nothing but praise for this thing I'm holding in my hand. It's a tablet. You all need to get your minds out of the gutter. Apple. Apple has had some ads out. Sean, you've seen one of them?
I've seen this ad where a guy knocks on a door, and an Apple genius is asleep in his bed, and he wakes up, and the guy tells him, "The baby's coming. I need your help." And he's like, "What? It's 4 a.m. What do you need?" And he's like, "I need to know how to make a photo book." And the guy's like, "Well, you," and then he just explains the process. "Do you want me to call an ambulance?" "Yes." That is the gist of the ad.
Yeah, and I can't I have no, I'm not gonna, I have no way to be like, no, you're missing all of the very subtle details that are like impacting, consumers.
No, that's the whole ad.
No, that's the ad.
It's a 30-second spot. It's over pretty quick.
Yeah. So Sean is bringing up this guy seems like their new spokesman. He basically looks like me or Sean. Like he's like a mid-20s white guy, short.
He's the new dude you're getting Adele.
Oh my god.
Did I just leave a bad taste in your mouth?
Well, you made me think some things though. These ads I was not thinking about that, but now I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about those ads now, and that makes me not like these even more.
Oh, no.
There's this guy, like random everyman white guy who looks like the dude you're getting Adele, who didn't he like
Yes.
was there there was like a story like in 2009 or something, like the dude you're getting Adele guy, like the Daily Mail in UK like found out he was getting high or something, and
yeah, he got in trouble for something way after the fact.
So Apple, for some reason, with their same company, the same ad company, Chiat Day, the same company that they work with to make all of their ads, they have decided to do some ad strategy at the Olympics. These ads are airing during the Olympics, right? So people are watching TV because they watch TV during the Olympics, maybe? I don't know. One of them is the one that Sean described. Guy having a kid and blah blah blah. Another one is on a plane. It's the same dude, by the way.
Okay, I didn't realize it was the same. He's inconvenienced by every Apple customer ever wherever he goes.
Yes. So he, in another ad, he's on a plane, and someone says, "Is there an Apple genius on the plane?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm here." And he goes and helps.
See, I'm laughing already because these are funny, even if they're wrong.
So someone's like, "We need an Apple genius," and there's this guy. He's like, have all this footage from my wife and my our wedding, and I'm trying to put together this thing, and we're gonna land soon, and they're gonna make me turn the TV, turn the Apple off." And he's like, "No, you just like open up like iMovie, and you can do all this stuff." He's like, "Oh yes," and I can just drag this thing from here to here. And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What about the music?" And he's like, "You drag it from iTunes." And he's like, "Oh, this is great." And he's like, "And then you can put the CPU thing on it. It looks great." And he's like, "Oh, it does look great." And then the flight attendant who brought the Apple Genius there in the first place is like, we have 2 minutes and 20 seconds until we have to turn off the electronics, and there's a guy who's doing a keynote back in 24F, and then the Genius and the guy who helped is like, "Let's go help this guy," and it's like, "All right, we're gonna do that." So the final ad I want to talk. So there's these two ads. One is this Labor Day. It's called Labor Day. It's so dumb. Oh god, like these ads are not very good. So they've got this Labor Day ad. It's not very good. They got this plane ad, and like Shawn and I have talked about how Apple ads focus on the products.
Right.
Right, and the Labor Day one kind of sort of focuses on like the letterpress cards and the books that you can get through iPhoto. Right?
I'll point out, when I was watching it, my first complaint would be I didn't see what they were talking about, and I've never used the product, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Right, so that's a problem.
That's kind of a problem.
Like so in the Mayday, they call it Mayday ad, that flight one. It's like they're using iPhoto and iTunes and stuff, but you don't really see it. Here's the final one. There's an ad called Basically, and we're gonna listen to it right now, and here we go.
Hey, you're a genius, right?
Yeah.
I basically just got a Mac myself.
But wait, what do you mean basically?
Basically, it looks like a Mac.
Great. It came loaded with all the great apps like iPhoto, iMovie, GarageBand. Not ringing a bell, huh?
No.
Who sold this to you?
He did. Said he's basically an Apple genius.
No.
So this is nothing like a Mac.
Basically, no.
I'm thinking that the team at Apple realized that they hadn't done an advertisement for the Macintosh in like 5 years. And they went to Try It Day, and they're like, "Hey, we have not done ads for the Mac in like 5 years. Can you open up the book that you have that has advertisements for the Mac, and like let's take a look at that?" And it's all the like switcher ads from like 2005.
Right.
And it's like Justin Long and the guy who went to the Daily Show and whatever.
John Hodgman.
Sorry. Sorry. And they're like, "Yeah."
He's probably more famous in the circle of people that are listening than Justin Long is.
Drag me to hell. And they're just like, "Can you do some more ads?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, we'll just take this content." So like, or, which may be a bigger indictment of the entire product line, the Mac has not moved forward in the past 5 years, so they have to use the same advertisement, which might be true.
Yeah.
I still prefer my Mac to the PC, although Shawn has said to me privately that he has problems with it, and I would agree that there are problems with the Mac. These ads have caused like a furor, a riot. Like the people myself included, who like, prefer, enjoy the Macintosh experience, who like the Mac OS on a Mac, they don't like these ads.
I will link the thing you sent me. It's by John Maltz. Is this someone in the community?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He's got a problem with the subtext of the ads.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, I could send Shawn like 2 or 3 more things that are much more hostile
scathing
to these ads. You know what? Yeah, I'll send coming your way, Shawn. Send me a couple more things. There you go. There's one. And I think
title: Apple's new Mac ads are embarrassing.
From The Verge. Oh, here's the next one from The Verge. There you go. Yeah, people people don't like these. And when I say people, I mean Mac people.
People who matter in that little club over there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, do I matter? No, I don't matter. No one listens to me. To a good approximation, no one listens to me. But I read everything in the Mac community, and I updated my Mac to OS 10.8 Mountain Lion, which I would say if you have a Mac, you probably shouldn't do for a little while.
Wait a little bit.
Wait a little bit. Wait till 10.8.1 or 8.2.
They're going to add the half slabs in the next version.
That's right. John Syracuse refers to the 10.x.0.1.2 sort of range as the region of pain, where
you're inviting some catastrophic error.
Your apps don't quite work right, or like. So I had I'll just say I updated immediately, and then immediately I had some Java problems that I had to like basically fix myself, and they're fine now, but whatever. These ads are weird. Don't you think that they're weird?
It's definitely a new tone for what I would expect from Apple advertisements.
We've talked about Apple ads, and one of the things that we've mentioned is how they focus on the things that you do with their products. Wouldn't you say that this is sort of not doing that?
Yeah, my immediate reaction was to laugh, and then after it was over, I was like, wait, I didn't see the thing.
Yeah.
Where's the thing?
Where's the thing? Where's the thing? This reminds me very much of both the switcher ads in the sort of early 2000s and the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ads in the mid 2000s, which once again, I don't know if our audience has seen these because
they probably weren't alive yet.
Because I think the last of the ads that I'm talking about came out in like 2006. I don't think that they did any more past 2006. So we're talking like 6 years ago. These ads seem very much akin to them. And one of the things I wanted to bring up, one of the big things I wanted to bring up, is that every one of these ads, when they end, they have a white screen with a light gray Apple logo and a some light gray text that says Mac. I think that they're trying to focus somewhat on the Mac again, because they've had these runaway successes. The iPhone, huge success. Who can deny that the iPhone was a huge success? The iPad, huge success. And you know what? I would even say that the MacBook Air, I think it's kind of distinguishing itself as a somewhat different product from the rest of the Macintosh products.
I think it spawned an entire line of competition from all of the other hardware developers that are now making Ultrabooks.
Well, no, that's certainly true, and like they're making these products which are inferior, and we don't need to go there, but like I would say that the Air, like, people don't think of it as a Mac. Like the rationale behind these ads, I think, is to like Apple trying to recapture Mac as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that they're succeeding, but I have heard and seen people say that they like and they think that the Labor Day ad is funny. They like and they think the May Day ad is funny. But I would say that the one that is the most impactful is Basically. And that's the one where it's the guy who's got like a random, box or whatever. He's like, hey, you're an Apple guy. And he's like, hey, yeah, I'm a genius. And he's like, oh, I basically got an app, or I basically got a Mac. and our titular genius is like, oh, basically, what do you mean by basically? Does it have like iLife and iPhoto? He's like, and he's like, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. He's like, what? No, and I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, oh, so you don't really have a Mac? Who sold that to you? And then he points to this like used car salesman guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm a used car salesman." And the Mac guy's like, you got it from that guy. Oh, and the guy's like, so I got a Mac?" And he's like, "Yeah, basically, no, you don't have a Mac." And that's also the most petulant ad, right? That's the most like, well, I'm a Mac and I've got these cool things and you don't have them, right? Like that's the one that's the most like kid in a sand pit that's like, I've got these things and you don't have them. I also think it's the one that makes the most sense and is the most on target, and which means that, like, to me, if I'm trying to like dissect Apple's strategy here, if I'm Apple, or maybe even Tim Cook, I don't know if Tim Cook is making these decisions, but if I'm Apple, I'm looking at how many PCs are being sold, and we've broken through. We're selling a lot, but we could sell a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, okay, well, maybe we need to go back to that switcher strategy. We haven't done that in a long time. We've been focusing a lot on the iPhone, a lot on the iPad, and we have not been focusing on the computer stuff. And we've kind of fallen behind there. And also, we got these dork nozzles at Samsung, like trying to make our like people who like iPads look stupid, and it's not fair, and it really isn't not fair. And we haven't done an ad for a Mac in a long time, so yeah, let's go, but let's do this. Yeah, Giant Day, make us some ads. Let's go after the whatever, and let's try and get some let's get some people back on the Mac. And then they come up with this, and I think that, one, this will probably be somewhat effective with people who don't have a Mac, but two, people like me and people who have a Mac, we're just going to be like, you guys are stupid. Why did you make these dumb ads? And I get that they might be effective, but I don't know if there's a way you could do it differently, but them doing the same iPad-like ad that we've talked about using a Mac, I don't think it would make a Windows person buy a Mac.
Just like showing off a program and its features with like a voiceover.
Right, because you'd be like, well, I can do that on my Windows machine.
Yeah. And that seems to be one of the points that commenters have been bringing up on these ads on YouTube.
Be like, yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah, you're not. That's not. And I'm here. I am admitting, like, yeah, you can do the same thing on a Windows machine.
I think one of the things that Mac has been trying to focus on with Mountain Lion is the ease of transition from iOS, and it seems like their ads might want to highlight that functionality.
Man, if you were working at Chiat Day, maybe you would be making better ads.
I mean, one of the biggest things about Mountain Lion that was touted was like more functionality with the devices that you just got, that you're liking so much, the iPad and the iPhone. We're gonna put the best stuff of that into the operating system on your computer.
I think the counter to that is Windows users who have their Windows XP machine, who are like going on the internet and they're doing fine. Like they're not buying an iPhone or an iPad.
Okay, yeah.
Like they're not getting that. They're like, well, whatever. This ad is aimed at your parents,
right?
And they're like,
my parents are the people talking to the genius. That's who it's supposed to be.
Exactly, right. Like, so, like, these ads are targeted at your parents, at, people over 55, and it's like, hey, the ad with the guy on the airplane, it's like, oh, I can do all these cool things, and it has to do with, they even bring up, like, think how, like, actually, there's a lot of psychology going into these ads, like, babies being born, and marriages,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, those are all things that relate to your parents and the things that your parents care about. And uh they're showing you like, hey, there's this product that makes it really easy to share these experiences. And they're not even disparaging Windows. They're just saying like, hey, here's this thing. It's really great. Maybe you should get it. Um, and it really pisses off real Mac aficionados, real Mac fans, because they're like, no, don't you understand? It's really great because it's got this Darwin core and Objective C is awesome and like Xcode is great. And it's like these ads are just like, no, not real. No, it's the
Because
thing
my parents would
his
go, what?
parents behind. You're right, exactly. It's like, no, we're gonna do ads that are like, no, no, no. It's like, what about like making a photo press card? So I don't know. I think I've even talked myself into thinking that these ads are good, even though I don't. As a person, as a human being, I don't like these ads. They are not appealing to me.
One of the things this article pointed out in the subtext is that it makes it look like they're hard to use because these people have to keep going to a genius to ask them how to do this thing. And then the genius is like, well, no, it's really easy. And at which point my dad is like, well, if it was really easy, I could have figured it out on my own. Thank you very much.
Right, but I think that subtext is not something that a normal person will get.
Because they're just supposed to laugh.
Yeah, because it's subtext.
Right.
Well, there we go.
We don't know how to fix it.
I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix that. You know what else I don't know how to fix? Are the goddamn Emmys. These things are just like, what are we gonna do? Sean, what are we gonna... Maybe we should we do our own awards?
Probably.
I haven't seen enough to actually do them, though.
Yeah, when Carter goes away for a couple months, Alicia and I are going to do a bunch of random subjects, and one of them will be the Emmy Awards. We watch a lot of TV, and we have a lot of these categories pretty well covered. But there are some shows that Carter and I have talked about extensively, and some that Carter's picked up recently that we can talk about now.
Well, Sean, you have teased me with American Horror Story. So I remember where I was. I think we might have been wrapping up American Horror Story, and I was saying, a whole bunch of like random stupid stuff about like this and that, and it was so good, and I like this and I like that. Jessica Lange's amazing, and we were talking about the second season. And I think I concluded with, I didn't think that they would get many Emmy nods because they would just get like totally swamped by other bigger things. And yet they are sweeping up at the Emmys. And Sean, and the reason why is because they're a miniseries. And Sean, you mentioned this to me, and then we were talking on the when we were figuring out what we were going to talk about, and I'm like, yeah, American Horror Story, did they get anything? And Sean was like, yeah, they got a lot of stuff, and I'm like, really? And then you're like, yeah, look at all the stuff they got.
They tied for the most nominations along with Mad Men, which is a perennial favorite.
And I was like, how the hell did that happen? There's no way that can happen. And then the reason why it happened is because they're a miniseries. And then I said to Sean, why are they a miniseries? And he said, don't you worry your pretty little head. He will tell us on the podcast. So Sean, what's going on here?
When this news was announced, when the nominees were read, a lot of people were scratching their heads, and because you see Outstanding Drama, and it's got shows from cable like Mad Men and Breaking Bad, and American Horror Story wasn't there, and they were like, American Horror Story was not nominated. And then they read the nominees for miniseries or TV movie, and it's got Hatfields and McCoys, which I think a lot of people expected to see. They've got Luther, which is that Idris Elba miniseries on BBC, which is supposed to be really good. It's got Sherlock, which Alicia and I have been watching, and we will talk about on our podcast. And then they have American Horror Story. And everyone was like, what? Wait, why? And
so wait, why?
The explanation was, first of all, the Emmys let them. Second, the rules for outstanding miniseries are it has to be over 6 hours, which yes, it's over 6 hours, and it has to have an open and close-ended story. And Ryan Murphy and FX have said the second season of American Horror Story will not have crossover with the first season. In fact, it's going to take place in the 1960s. It's going to be in a completely different location. None of the characters will cross over, and therefore it counts as a miniseries. And the president of the network defended it being in the category, and he said they let us submit it because it is an open and closed story. And in fact, Ashley Judd was nominated for Best Actress for Missing because that was a one-season show that got canned, and it had an ending. So they said, sure, it can count as a miniseries because it had an ending. So American Horror Story fits in that category. I think a lot of people are still kind of annoyed that it was, but according to the rules of these Emmy Awards, that's fine.
That's stupid.
Everyone expects like the Hatfields and McCoys and those kind of very close-ended. We had John Adams a couple years ago. Like it's just a story, and it starts and ends.
So here's my problem with that. When we were watching and talking about American Horror Story, we didn't think it was a miniseries.
In fact, I think we kept talking about, like, what does this mean for season 2?
Right. Like, they just, like, got that on a technicality, which I think is really lame. I think that's right. Like,
it's not like the second series is going to be called something else.
Well, it's like the second series will be something totally different, and but they want to string it together with this whole American Horror Story thing.
Yeah, and when we heard that fact, when that was revealed on the show, I remember both of us saying, like, I don't know if we want to keep watching it then. That seems weird.
We might not even do it. Like, I don't think we've offered a guarantee to the people who listen to us that we'll even talk about it.
Because we might not.
What if it sucks? What if it sucks? I mean, like, yeah, and it's unrelated. Like, so I was mentioning to Shawn before we recorded, like, oh yeah, the Emmys came out and blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, did you know that American Horror Story like has as many awards as Mad Men?
Nominations.
Nominations? Yeah. I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, take a look. And then I was like, oh, it's because they're a mini series and not something like everything else.
And well, Alicia said, like, it was how many episodes was it? Was it 12?
It was 12 or 13.
It was 12. She said, like, what if it were aired in 4 chunks? Would we still be complaining?
I mean, like, our dissection of it, like, airing it the way they did was important to the way that the story unfolded.
Right. Because you end with cliffhangers and start with reveals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the cliffhangers were actually really important. And if you I will say, like, not even just like, what if you did in 4 chunks? Like, what if you just, like, a miniseries? What if you just watched the whole thing from beginning to end? It would be a roller coaster ride, just like a season of 24.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like a normal season,
which is not a miniseries.
That is not a mini. Yeah, it's not a miniseries. Like, I know I've not seen Downton Abbey, but isn't that a miniseries?
No, that is a drama. That counts as a drama series because The characters and setting spans seasons.
Okay, fine. I mean, like, I don't even know what counts as a miniseries then. But whatever.
It's
like,
got to have a story that ends, apparently, is the only stipulation within the season.
But that, like, that doesn't matter for American Horror Story. Like, think of where they were in the first episode, and think of where they ended. The things that happened to the Harmon family, it's crazy. And I think that they cheated. I think they'll win a lot of stuff. Good for them, and it will certainly help them get more episodes, and great for Ryan Murphy and his team. But they totally cheated.
I think in the category of outstanding miniseries, they're up against stiff competition. I don't think they'll win that category. Maybe some of the others. They have acting nominations for both the older actress who plays Moira, and I'm forgetting her name right now, and also Jessica Lange herself.
Yeah. I mean, when we originally talked about whether they would get nominated at all, I think we both agreed, like, they probably won't get nominated at all, but, like, they got this, like, backdoor nomination through this miniseries nonsense, and it just feels like cheating, you know? There were better shows out than American Horror Story, and, you know, they got to, like, get their nomination in through the back door. Shawn and I were pretty, like, I think we're both pretty not happy with the state of the Emmys, especially the comedy awards.
Yeah, I think I have most of my chips in the comedy category. I watch so much comedy, and I feel like I'm a pretty good critic of it. And to see that 30 Rock, which I love and will continue watching every damn episode, to see that it was nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series and Parks and Recreation wasn't, I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And then they also have The Big Bang Theory, which year after year seems to just keep taking awards, and I'm like, that is not the direction that comedy is going in on television. Why is that series being lauded every year?
Yeah, I mean, the both of us were agreed that this year of 30 Rock this season was probably its weakest season.
Definitely. And I like the show. I'm not saying I don't like it.
Me too. No.
It's just, compared to other seasons of 30 Rock, it's not close.
Compared to the first season? I mean, 30 Rock is one of those shows that it's weird. Like, why? How could it? Like, it's so strange. Its first season was possibly its best season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't happen ever. That's weird.
It took a lot of people by surprise because of how weird it was.
Right. It's like, what is this? How can this happen? And they had like Tracy Morgan, who like legitimately is probably kind of crazy, and like, you know, and like, how did they get, you know, like Tina Fey? Who is this person? She was just running Saturday Night Live, and there were a lot of things like conspired on that season, but it was actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the second season was excellent as well. I think that like Arrested Development is a good example. You know, it's like sometimes in some circumstances, really good people can come together and make really great television. And most of the time, this is really unfortunate, most of the time television executives are not prepared for that at all. They're prepared for like Bones, you know. They're prepared for like NCIS and all the bullshit that's on TV. And then when something really good comes out, they almost always have no idea what to do with it. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, it doesn't get good ratings in the first season. I don't think 30 Rock broke through in the first season, or Arrested Development.
I don't know if 30 Rock has broken through yet.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. But like certain people recognize, right?
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah,
it's
totally.
really good. I mean, Sean and I will probably like chant this to our graves, but I think Arrested Development is probably the biggest example of that, right?
Yeah, that was a show that no one saw
It
coming.
never had an audience, and didn't even have the internet. I mean, like, God help it, didn't even have the internet to help it, or it barely had the internet. I think
That show, the executives actively tried to destroy. They tried to put it. They changed the time slot every week. They did 2 episodes at a time. They like tried to put it anywhere just to get rid of it, and they did. They did.
And maybe this is the lesson of the Emmys and all of this. And yet, the fans, you and me, and the people who love Arrested Development, we were so annoying, so forceful, and so belligerent, and basically showed so much money.
Buying DVDs.
Buying DVDs.
Watching it on Netflix endlessly, on loop.
Endlessly. We have indicated that there is money here. Untapped money. So, yeah, make Arrested Development, please. And that's what they're going to do. Thank God that's what they're going to do. And the thing that's crazy is that we've been fighting for this for 5 years, and the thing that pisses me off the most is that in significantly less than that time, Family Guy got their show back on, and their show compared to Arrested Development, you can flame me in the comments, I don't care. Their show, Family Guy, really? Family Guy.
I'd say 2 things. 1, it's cheap. And 2, mass appeal.
Well, I'll say this. I'm very glad that we're going to get our show back. Very happy. And the final thing to talk about. So, I've been watching Louie.
The first 2 seasons of Louie are on Netflix streaming.
Please watch it. Oh my goodness. Guys and gals, if you are not watching this show, Sean told me to watch it like, I don't know, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh.
I think you talked about it when you were vlogging, because you talked about blue comedy.
Oh, I think you're right. Blue, like, blue. Bad word.
Don't watch this if you're too young. And if you do, don't tell your parents that we told you to.
Oh, so it's on.
This is kind of an adult-minded comedy show.
No, an adult show. So Louis C.K. and like in the very first episode, he calls himself Louis, which is like I felt was like a small redemption of the fact that I kind of like to talk about him as Louis C.K. But anyway, whatever. Louis as a show is excellent. I mean,
it basically doesn't make any sense compared to what you think of as being successful in comedy on television. It is completely different.
He has decided as a comic and as a showrunner, apparently, like, here's the big thing that, like, I don't know how he was able to do this, was I'm not sure how he was able to convince someone who will pay for his show to let him run this show.
I think a lot of it has to do with money. When they picked up the 3rd season, they said his budget per episode was $200,000, and they said, we will double your budget if you will allow us more notes on the episodes, more executive control, network control of the show. but if you don't want the money, we will let you do it yourself. And he said, keep your money.
Mm.
And until the third season, he was editing himself. And then everything else, producing, directing, writing, and starring in the show, he takes care of. It's all his work. Which, when you watch the show and you see the character that he plays, this version of himself, you're like, how in the world did that guy get anything done?
Oh man, I think that You know what I'm thinking of right now? I'm thinking of your show.
I have a show.
And the amount of time and effort that I know that you put into it, and it's visible, right? Like you can see all of the time and the effort that Shawn puts into a show. And then you look at Louis, and it's almost like he wants to think that he didn't put time and effort into it. It almost seems like he wanted it to look like a nightmare.
Like it just kind of happened.
Well, like, not just that it happened, but that it was a disaster, right? Like it was like things melted down and and that's what his shows are like. I mean, like, that's the thing that kills me about his shows is that they have that stand-up element.
Right. There will usually be one narrative arc for the show for each episode, but then throughout that narrative, you get cutaways to an original bit. It's not like they're just piecing together pieces of comedy that he's done. These are original bits that he's written just for the show of his character delivering comedy to a live audience.
I mean, you've already just like, you know, it's like plans within plans within plans within plans, and that's the thing, right? Like,
it looks pretty effortless.
And in that effortlessness, he actually delivers pretty smart comedy, and
but the Emmys would rather give a nomination to The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, that's it, man. That's the end right there. You just like nailed it. Fucking Big Bang Theory, like I just.
I'm sure those people work very hard. I'm glad all of the crew have jobs, but why is that show getting awards?
Well, you know what? The thing that kills me is that there are all these awesome things out there, and The Big Bang Theory is the one that gets all the awards. And then you've got How I Met Your Mother out there that's just like killing it. I don't watch Big Bang Theory. How I Met Your Mother is killing it. Like, they are just knocking it out of the park. And they're getting no credit at all. Nothing at all. I got nothing. I got nothing.
I will note that my first response.
Hello?
What? Hello?
Uh-oh.
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 Uh-oh. Sorry.
Where'd Carter
Oh.
go?
I was trying to very surreptitiously unplug and plug my mic, and then it did not work. Sorry.
Okay, you're back?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, one last thing before we get started. I really liked your last 5 things. I thought it was really good.
Oh, thanks.
I was very, very, very impressed and surprised by everything.
Singing was a little nerve-wracking, but I ended up being way more happy with the way the singing came out than the way the guitar came out. I was so fucking frustrated.
Well, I saw your behind the scenes. It seemed like it was very frustrating with the guitar. Did you end up having to edit together different parts, or did
Yep.
you get one take?
I wanted to do it. The plan was to do it all in one take, and it's actually 5 different pieces.
Wow. Because you didn't mention, so I kind of.
Which is actually why the cat moves halfway through the video.
I know, that's why, yeah.
And I'm like, just sit down, you ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the singing was very good, but I was very impressed by the editing. And it seems like that probably took a very long time.
Well, good. I was proud of it.
I was proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.